Raider Nation, subscribe to the Raiders Report for the latest news, rumors, and everything Raiders. If you bleed silver and black, this is the YouTube channel for you. So click that big red button below that says subscribe. All right, let's get the show going. Yannick Ngakoue wants to be traded away from the Jacksonville Jaguars, and the Las Vegas Raiders are a logical partner, according to Fansided. And that's why I gave this to Chucky Heads, because people are talking, and I kind of agree with it. If you're a loyal watcher of the show, you'll know that Yannick was my top trade target for the Raiders during the season. And when I think about what the Raiders have in terms of assets, I mean, you have over $50 million in cap space, plus 6 picks in the top 111 in the 2020 NFL Draft. So I want you to think about the type of player that you'd be getting in a Yannick Ngakoue. The dude's had 37.5 sacks his first 4 years in the league. He's missed only one football game. I want guys that are going to grind it out. That's what Yannick does. Plus, here's the most mind-blowing thing. He's only 24 years old. He is younger than some players that are literally just now entering the draft. So, what exactly does a Yannick Ngakoue trade look like? I thought you'd never ask. So I think the Raiders, they receive him, and then they send away the 2020 first-round pick, but pick 19, and then a third-round pick, which is our first third-round pick at number 80. The important thing here is, though, you can get Yannick Ngakoue and still go out and maybe get a top receiver at pick number 12. Sounds pretty good? Okay. But now you got to pay him, and he is about to get a lot of money. So this is what I think, that if the Raiders were to go out and trade for Yannick, this is what they'd have to pay him. 5 years, $103 million, which is an annual of $20.6 million, and I'm going to guarantee $62 million, okay? Now, front load the contract in the first 3 years with a potential out after those 3 years, because for me, when it comes down to re-signing Clelin Ferrell and Max Crosby, you're not going to be strapped for money. So the contract that I think a lot about is the Frank Clark contract, okay? This is what Frank Clark's going to make the next 4 years. What I want you to look at is, yes, 2020, 2021, 2022. A lot of money with over $10 million in dead cap hit. But 2023, Clelin Ferrell, Max Crosby, these are the players that if they're balling out and we want to bring them, we can. And as you can see in Frank Clark's contract, it only would have cost us $5.2 million to cut him. So if we can resemble that type of contract to make this depth chart happen, I'm actually kind of okay with it. He is a great player, only 24 years old. He's kept his head on right. He's a hard-working player. And if you can help pair Max, and if you can help pair Yannick with some talented players, I think that's really also going to help the development in Cleveland and Crosby, because they're not going to be getting double-teamed, because you have to worry about an absolute freak of an athlete like Yannick Ngakoue. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, you might get hit with an ad break. While the ad is playing, I want you to scroll on down, and I want you to let me know, would you make this trade for Yannick Ngakoue? I want you to type Y for yes, or I want you to type your N for no. The Raiders, they need to add wide receiver talent. No doubt about it. A number one wide receiver, you can either do that in the draft, or you can do it in free agency. But you know what? We're going to stick here to the draft a little bit. If you haven't seen my man Tom Downey's latest mock draft, you got to go do it, man. NFL Mock Draft Post-Combine Edition. It's on our main channel, youtube.com/chatsportstv. Go ahead, subscribe. Tom's the best in the business. Now let's just say this. If we don't get a wide receiver in the draft, maybe we go all in on Robby Anderson? I'm going to say tuck rule, tuck that on this one. And this one's again from Fansided. And I guess let me fully explain myself. I get that he's one of the best deep threats. But for Fansided to give this reason, Anderson has shown that he can be a solid number 2 receiver in a struggling NFL offense. Head coach John Gruden would love to have him play opposite of Tyrell Williams in the Raiders offense. The reason why I am giving this one 0 Chucky Heads, tuck rule, tuck that, why would you want to go all in on somebody that you just called a number 2 receiver? Why am I going to pay a number 2 receiver $13 to $14 million a year when we already kind of have one in Tyrell Williams? We need a number 1 receiver. Now, Robby Anderson's a talented dude. He is. I will say the off-field makes me a little bit nervous about him coming to Las Vegas. And there's no doubt that he has outside speed, and there is no doubt that he would help our receiving corps. But to say that we need to go all in on somebody that you called a number 2 receiver, I'm sorry, that just blows my mind. So how about this? We'll help out FanSided here. I want you to name a wide receiver that the Raiders should sign. Throw it in the comments section. So if you watch this video on YouTube, if you see this on Facebook, let's help them out. Put in the comments. I want you to name a wide receiver that the Raiders should sign. Now, I got an awesome deal for y'all. Chatsports.com/RaidersWorld. I found this shirt. This is the deal of the day. So every single day when I come in here to work, I'm going to find you guys the best deals. Make sure you're always repping the nation. So if you like this Raiders Against the World shirt, it's only $24.99. Let's say it's not your cup of tea. Maybe you're looking for a cup of coffee. I got you. Chatsports.com/Raiders sale, where they have hats, t-shirts, sweatshirts, and much more. I'll put the description, or I'll put the comments. Jeez, Mitch. I will put the links in the comments and in the description. Hopefully you guys can find it. And if you do go buy it, hit me up on IG. I'll share it on my stories. All right, let's talk about another player here. And I like this one a lot. Maliek Collins to the Raiders. I'm going to give this one 2 Chucky heads, and people are talking. So shout out to my man Marcus for the article, because I totally agree that Maliek Collins could literally be a huge steal for the Raiders in free agency. And I'm giving it 2 Chucky heads because I don't know how likely it is for it to actually happen, but I think it makes a lot of sense. Now, he's gotten better every single year, which I think is very, very important for for scouts to look at when you're looking at players. Plus, he played underneath Rod Marinelli. Rod Marinelli was the defensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. Now he's the defensive line coach. I know that they have a connection there. The last thing I'm going to mention, he fills defensive holes without overspending. If you want to go out and get players like Yannick Ngakoue, if you want to go out and get players like a Byron Jones, or maybe you want to spend $13 to $14 million on a Robby Anderson, you need to actually find some cheaper options, because the Raiders do have a lot of holes to fill. Maliek Collins, he's going to fill those holes. That's what she said. But he also turns 25 in April. Another young player. That's what I want. Young players to help develop for the long term. So, Maliek Collins, he's a very, very interesting player. I'm about to talk about another player that I get a ton of questions on. It's Daryl Worley, okay? So, will the Raiders re-sign Daryl Worley? I want you to type R for re-sign. I want you to type L for let walk. I'm going to let you know right after this YouTube ad break. Will the Raiders won't re-sign Daryl Worley. I'm going to give this one 3 Chucky heads, and I think it's pretty likely. I understand that he wants to get paid, and I think that he should look to get paid. Now, and I also understand that the coaching staff likes his versatility a lot, and he stepped up for the Raiders when we needed him to step up last year. The reason why I don't really believe that he is going to be in silver and black is because 2 reasons. Wants to get paid more than I think that what he's worth. And second, I don't feel that he is a long-term option at cornerback for the Raiders. Plus, when you look at the talent on the free agent market right now, I am a big believer that Byron Jones will be in silver and black. I do believe that he is the number 1 free agency target. And when I think about all the Raiders' needs, and I think about the players in the draft, I think that they're going to go in the draft, and you're going to see them go out and sign a bigger name free agent like a Byron Jones, maybe like a Chris Harris. I mean, for those of you that maybe aren't the biggest fan of Chris Harris, I know John Gruden is. Gruden called him the most underrated NFL player. Yes, this was back in 2016, but I know Gruden likes Chris Harris's ability, especially in the slot. So we talked a lot about free agency. I need to take a breath. And now we're going to dive in a little bit more about some Raiders draft rumors and news. And I really want to talk about the quarterback position. Yes, this does not mean that we're getting rid of Derek Carr. What does it mean? That there are 3 quarterback prospects that I at least want you to keep your eyes on that we could potentially draft later on. The first guy is Jalen Hurts out of Oklahoma. He doesn't really need too much of an introduction, but for me, he's smart. He's a proven winner. And if you go out and draft Jalen Hurts, personally for me, it's going to be in round 3. You let him develop behind Derek Carr. The other thing that I love about him, he's got an excellent experience in big-time games. And he's also got experience at good college programs like Alabama, like Oklahoma, which I know Gruden and Mike Mayock like a lot. For Jalen, though, if you draft him this year, you can at least add maybe 10, 15 plays, make him kind of into like a Taysom Hill a little bit, just so defensive coordinators have to worry about him just a little bit. The next quarterback prospect that I want to talk about is Jacob Eason. Big dude, 6'6", 227 pounds, out of Washington. Now, a lot of people are like, Mitch, his NFL Combine, it wasn't all that great. I can tell you one thing. You know who doesn't care about the Combine that much? It's Mike Mayock. The reason why, Dude literally calls it the underwear Olympics. What does he care about? Film. And Eason does have a lot of good film. And if you're looking for a strong-arm quarterback with plenty of confidence, it's Jacob Eason. And the fact that the Raiders could get him in round 3 is another reason why I'm just saying that I want you to target him a little more. Now, before I tell you about my last quarterback here, I got to tell you about BetDSI, the internet's #1 sportsbook. Go to chatsports.com/bet. Use the promo code Raiders120. Gets you 120% deposit bonus. So when you get started with BetDSI, put down $50. You're going to get 60 for free. Bet on the XFL, NBA, MLB. If you want to know who I think is going to win the Super Bowl, throw it in the comments. All right, the last person that we're going to talk about, it's James Morgan. Who? James Morgan, Florida International quarterback at 6'4", 213 pounds. I think this is going to be a target for the Raiders with, probably their 7th round pick. That's where I think that he can go. If you're looking for a quarterback that's got a solid build, but just raw, like I'm talking sketchy looking sushi at a Walmart raw type of skills, like that's James Morgan to me. Now, he's got a good arm. He really does. But it's not accurate, and he's got a funky delivery. But this kind of seems to me like a John Gruden-like project where he thought he could turn Nathan Peterman into a reliable quarterback. Maybe he sees the same in James Morgan. So how about this? We're going to play GM. Who would you draft? Jalen Hurts, Jacob Eason, or James Morgan? But you got to remember, I'm going to say Jalen Hurts is probably going to go in the 2nd, 3rd round. So that means if it's in the 2nd, we're going to have to get an extra pick. Jacob Eason in the 3rd round, and James Morgan between rounds 5 to 7. So let me know, A, B, or C. The last topic I'm going to talk about here on today's show, it's kind of around Tom Brady. Maybe you saw it, Dana White. He was trying to recruit Tom Brady to play for the Las Vegas Raiders. So it's not really too big of a surprise because, again, if you watch the show, you'll know that I say, hey, Dana White said that he was planning on calling Tom Brady and putting it on his Instagram story. I get the whole infatuation with it. Let's be real, though. The old report that the Raiders are not expected to give great chase to Brady, that's the story here. The other story, Dana White just wants Tom Brady in Las Vegas because that means more money for him. Can we all agree on that? Cool. One more thing, Tom Brady, not going to be a Raider. If you haven't subscribed yet, you should. YouTube.com/Raiders Report. Raider Nation, what's going on? Is this the #1 Raiders channel on YouTube? For Chucky Heads, believe it, baby. And if you haven't already, subscribe right here. I'm giving you Chucky Heads, news, rumors, Raider Nation rumors. And look at this. I'm making your life easier. Check out my next video. Thanks for watching, and go Raiders.